You are listening to the Shmooze! And welcome everybody.
Wait, we started re-recording?
Yeah.
Ah!
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
We're on episode 7 of the
Oh my God, isn't that
crazy? And today we're going to talk about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which in Hebrew, when I watched it, was Hanasich Madlik Mi.
Oh my God. That's crazy. That's
okay.
Can you rap the opening?
No.
Really?
No. I wasn't such an avid watcher of the show. I mean, I saw it here and there. It wasn't like one of my favorites.
Okay.
Can you?
Yeah.
Okay.
In Western Philadelphia, born and raised on the playground is where I spent most of my days, chilling, maxing, relaxing, shooting some b-ball outside of school with a couple of guys. They were up to no good. They started making trouble in my neighborhood. I got in one little fight and my mom got scared. She said, "You're moving with your auntie and uncle in Bel-Air." I whistled for a cab, and when it came near, something with fresh in the dice in the mirror. But if anything, I could say that this cab was red, but I thought, forget it, you're home to Bel-Air. I pulled up to the house on the 7-door range and I yelled to the cab, "Yo, smell you later." Look to my kingdom, I was finally there, sit on my throne as the Prince of Bel-Air. Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
shows how much television I watched.
Okay. Okay, so tell me about this show, The Prince of Bel-Air. Obviously, you loved it.
I did. We tuned in every night. We watched it, and we would stare, and in our rooms, we would sit there. Me and my brother would be pretending we were the Prince of Bel-Air. It was very interesting because I think this is the first show since the Cosby Show, and I don't think we want to talk about the Cosby Show yet.
No,
but this was the first show since the Cosby Show that I remember that showed Black affluence, which was impressive, because it said, okay, you don't have to be locked in this. We're so miskenim. How do you say miskenim? Like miserable. We don't have to be in our miserable state of mind. We can move up. And this was a huge show that showed, they're living in Bel-Air, so, and they were Black. They did address many issues in a very humoristic way. They addressed drunk driving, they addressed pills, they addressed
dating,
they addressed premarital sex, they addressed gun control. They also talked a lot about sexism and body issues. They just addressed things in a very nice way that wasn't heavy. They were talking about the issues of the day in a way that wasn't heavy. They were also talking about not only racial, like racism, but they were also talking about racial profiling. There was one episode where they were talking about, they're driving Uncle Phil's fancy. It wasn't even Uncle Phil's car. It was his white partner's fancy car, and a cop stops them. He sees two Black guys in a fancy car, and he throws them into jail.
Wow.
And they didn't get any attention. Oh, you're just two Black guys, in this fancy car. And of course, it's stolen. And so Uncle Phil and Vivian come into the police station, and they're like, you get these kids out. It's not stolen. They didn't get any attention either until the white partner showed up. And all of a sudden, the white partner shows up, and he's got he's given respect, and he's, "Oh, sir, we found your car, and we found the two people who did it." And he's like, "What are you talking about? The car isn't stolen. It's my car, and I gave it to these guys." So there was like a racial profiling stereotype that they addressed head on, which was important because you see all of a sudden how it looks from the other side of They also talked about hold on, I lost my train of thought. What?
It's okay.
They talked about a lot of things. I don't remember what I was going to say.
Okay.
What do you think about it?
My main point when I watch the show, the uneasiness, is like my mother say, don't be lazy bums. Don't be spoiled brats.
You hear your mother's voice saying that too.
Yeah, because like only maybe a little bit in the beginning when Will Smith comes to the family, and then I saw one episode when his mom shows up and she says, "Why are you telling the butler to do everything? You should do this stuff yourself. You should, clear the table, wash the dishes." And she's there washing the dishes, and she tells the gardener to take a day off. Kids could do this.
Right.
And I was raised like that, and I also raised my kids like this.
Me too.
It's not like I never had help in my life. There were times I had like a cleaning girl come here, but that was like more an educational step, I think, to show my kids, I'm paying money for somebody who can do your job. Yeah, and after a while they said, why are you wasting your money on that,
Beautiful.
We can do it ourselves.
Beautiful. I love it. Wow. Who is your favorite character?
Well, this is awkward. Okay. The older sister who's so shallow.
Right.
I like her.
Okay.
Because I would never be that. And in some way, as a girl, I sometimes wish to be like shallow, to take everything like on the outside and not to, you're less offended. She doesn't get it.
Right.
People try to hurt her, but she doesn't get it. She's so shallow.
Totally does not get it. Right.
So and also she's beautiful.
She was pretty. Yeah.
She's very, very pretty, and she's very joyous about life.
Mm-hmm. And every day she can go shopping.
Oh yeah. And she's like, anything she wants, she gets.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I see myself like sort of like eyeing that. And of course, Will Smith is a great character.
Oh, Will Smith is great.
He shines. And everything he does, he shines. I think. I don't think I saw a movie with him that I'd say, okay, this is a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
He really, like, there's this earnest thing about him that makes you trust him.
Right.
And here he was very young, but very much himself, very much playing himself. Also, the fact that they called him Will,
right?
I think that also helped. It's like I don't know how much acting he had to really do. Maybe the directions were just be yourself.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's what it feels
awesome.
like.
Right.
That's what it feels like, that we get to know, like, not the actor Will Smith, but the guy Will Smith.
Right.
And they let him play.
Right. He said in a few interviews, he said, that every time he fell, he always knew he had to get up and go back and keep at it. Like he wouldn't quit. And I think that's part of what makes him great, that he has fallen. He has had his bad moments. He has had his dives and dips. But he keeps getting back on it and get back at it. Yeah, I'm losing my voice. And I think that's awesome. You know what I love?
Yeah,
I love the butler. That sarcastic wit.
Oh, cynical.
Oh, I love him. Oh. I'm like, I want to be Jeffrey, but I'm casting myself.
Yeah,
you
would be Jeffrey.
I would be
okay. I'll give you the kosher stamp on being Jeffrey. But he's very cold. He's like very, like, all the emotions are bottled up. It's not that he doesn't have emotions.
No,
he definitely has emotions, but he's like keeping everything together all the time.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
my
then
God,
all of a sudden there's like this outburst of,
Yeah, and then little stabs.
Oh. Awesome.
People like that they keep everything inside and it suddenly.
Me, myself, and I. There was an issue. There was an episode where his father comes back.
Oh.
He was, he abandoned the family, and then he comes back 14, 15 years later. And, he's like, oh yeah, I want a relationship and whatever. And Will is willing to give him that chance. And then the father, backs out on him. And I think that affects the psyche of a kid, like when you're not wanted, and he, you see in the show, Will's going, why doesn't he want me? Why doesn't he want me? And that antagonism between Phil and Will, you see that underneath it all, like they do love each other.
Right.
And Uncle Phil, he was there for Will at so many turning points in his life. Like, he teased him, and there was always that, confrontation. But underneath it all, Phil was really that father for Will.
Yeah.
And I think that love that he just didn't have. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about like how important love is, and being there for your kid. Not necessarily the material things, because Phil and Vivian could give every material thing to their kid. But I think more importantly, they were there for their kids.
Yeah.
They might have raised them to be spoiled brats. You know what a Jap is, right? So if they were Jewish, they probably would have been Japs.
Yeah.
But they were there for their kids. They were really there for their kids. And it wasn't like, oh, you can do whatever you want and get whatever you want without suffering the consequences, without paying the consequences. I remember many times he was forced to pay the consequences for his actions. And it was just a very powerful lesson that they were there for them, even though they could give them everything. They had a butler, but that was it,
Also a gardener.
They had a gardener?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think what's really beautiful also about this show is that how they treat Will as one of them. You're not the foster kid. It's like not the typical, like a lot of kids in foster families, they feel like outsiders, especially if there are other kids around. And Will gets his own spot. He's like one of the kids, but he's still like special. He stands out a little bit, but he's definitely one of the kids. He gets treated like one of the kids. And I can say from my experience of fostering kids, they really, like, from being a mom for kids that are not born through me, it's amazing. It's like you feel really great, tremendous love. On the other hand, you don't have so many strings attached. So it's like easier parenting in some ways. You don't take it personally when they do something wrong. Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I would be the opposite. I think I would take it really, really hard. That,
I'm like, okay, so they did this, so they did that. Okay. They're not my kids. They're really. I found it much easier, like being a little bit more detached emotionally than connected. Let's say something that happens here in Israel is kids have lice. So when I had, like, with my own personal kids, whenever they had lice, I was like dreading it and hating it and feeling like even a little bit ashamed.
Yes. Oh my God.
And with the foster kids, okay, I was like, okay, they have lice, I'll clean their heads. I didn't have all this emotional baggage going on. It was like,
okay.
I didn't feel so related to it.
Okay.
It was like more, I could be more objective. That was my experience with, like, the 4.5 months that I had foster kids here.
Wow. I've already told my grandchildren, I'm like, I am not cleaning their hair. I'm done. I can't. It's disgusting. But I see what you're saying. Like, this is not my life. This is their life.
Yeah. And sometimes I wish I had it with my own kids, that sort of like being more objective about parenthood. I think we get really emotional. We really take to heart, especially with teenagers. And this show has to do a lot with teenagers.
Right.
And a lot of time during parenting, we take it to heart, whatever is going on. And there's a beautiful saying, they're not against you, they're for themselves.
Ooh, I like that.
It sounds better in Hebrew. הם לא נגדך, הם בעד עצמם.
I'll have to remember that one.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
yeah.
That is a really good one.
And sometimes we as parents, we sort of like forget it, that these kids have their own world and their own things going on and their own issues that they're dealing with. And especially this day and age, like when you have a teenager that closes himself in their room and there's like hours on the phone and barely discusses anything with you, even what time he's coming home or leaving or whatever. And you really have to have like sort of like a detached place more in your heart to understand that it's more about himself and it's not about you. It's not about you. It's something that he's going through. It's some kind of a stage. Hopefully one day he'll come out of it a better person. And then maybe someday we can talk.
I think it's actually harder to be a teenager in today's world than it was when we were growing up.
Why? Why we were whispering? Say it out loud.
I think it's harder. I think it's harder to be a teenager today than it was when we were kids.
Why?
I just think that there's so much. I had a hard time. Preteen, as a teenager, I had a great time. Preteen, I had a horrible time. Horrible. I was in like what Will was elite, preppy, jappy, white Ashkenazi school, and I wasn't. I mean, I'm Ashkenazi, 1 out of 3. I wasn't snobby, I wasn't rich, but 1 out of 3, I was Ashkenazi. And to be in that environment where I wasn't, it was horrible. But as a teenager, it was hard, but it was okay. I think today there's just so much pressure. You know, you have to be on Facebook and you have to go on Stepsis and you have to do, and if you're not, then you're not. And there's so much more availability for bullying and shaming, and you know, you can't allow yourself to be vulnerable too much because otherwise people will gang up on you. And there's just so much pressure to conform and be like everybody. You know, I don't think social media helps. I think it's a deterrent that, you know, even if you say as kids we would sit and watch hours television, we were watching as a family,
right?
You know, we didn't have a television in every room,
right? That's a big difference.
And now you have, you know, every kid has this pocket-sized phone, and they can, you know, be a mask into the world, and they don't have to show anything. They feel like they can't show anything, but you still have to have the latest style, the latest this, the latest that. You have to do the latest things, and if you're not, you're just not. You know, and I think that's so hard today, that the pressure today that kids are under is just so hard.
But there's also great stuff about it.
Of being a kid today?
Yeah.
Would you want to be a kid today?
I don't know, but I see my son, he's been learning to draw through YouTube.
Wow, okay.
And he spends hours watching these videos on YouTubes and drawing.
Wow.
And it's something that wasn't available for us.
Right.
You know, it doesn't cost us anything besides supplying the art supplies. Even the son that I'm talking about that like closes himself in the room, he plays lots of games with lots of friends on his screen, on his little screen, and they team up together and they join forces and they cover for each other or whatever they do, shooting there or whatever. But there's a lot of interactions that maybe we don't feel part of, but they have stuff going on in their own world. Plus, another thing that I saw with my kids is that they set their own limits. Even though this world is like, feels like it's there's no way to set a limit to the hours they use on a phone,
right?
But eventually they do. Like my daughter's on a hiking tour. She went out to the Kinneret, And she said, Ima, I'm unavailable on my phone.
What?
You know,
What?
and she spends quality time, and
Right.
she decides how much she's going to be on the phone and how much she's going to be with her friends. And we didn't have to deal so much with these issues back then. But today I feel that with the challenges comes also some like inner strength.
Ooh,
that
I
we
like it.
we had our own challenges. We
I
got
like
our
it.
own inner strength.
Right.
And they have a different kind of challenge,
Mhm.
but they can also find their own strength.
I like it. I like it. Somebody once said to me that our generation is going to be the generation that gives birth to the Mashiach.
Wow.
And we have to be like the Ramatkal in this battle, but our children are going to be the ones that are actually going to be there to greet Mashiach. So we have to educate them to be capable of greeting and being in that generation. We may or may not live to see it, but they are going to live to see it, and our job is to educate them to be on that level.
Yeah.
And that goes along with what you're saying, that there's a strength to this generation that we didn't have. But I would not want to be no. Totally, I would not want to be a kid in this generation.
Yeah. What I like about TV shows in general,
okay,
and especially also about this show, is like it always has this happy ending. It never like ends with a conflict, never ends with something that's, if it ends with a conflict, then the next chapter it will solve the conflict. You know,
or soap operas where there's no resolution, you just resolution,
but
you
the
just,
sitcoms,
right,
they always like sort of like, no matter what happens, it will be somehow resolved in the end. And somewhat in a maybe funny way, maybe comforting way, maybe something that puts you to peace. It never leaves you like on a cliffhanger, unless it's a part of 2-chapter episode. And I think we can take that to our own lives.
I like it. I like that.
Like you talked before about Mashiach, that we should know that everything that happens to us is for our own good, and in the end, so whatever end it's going to be like a good, comforting end.
It's so much easier to say.
We have to look forward to good, comforting ends. We have to imagine them. Bringing the Messiah is, I think, more about realizing how really close it is, and not feeling that it's so far away, that there could be something really good waiting for us at the end of this journey. And we can imagine all the good stuff happening to us at the end of this journey.
We could, or we could just be dead, and then there's
That's
nothing.
Also good. That's also good. Most people who experience death, they
don't come back and tell them.
But people like who experience near death and all kinds of stuff, they say that it's amazing. Beautiful white lights, and you feel love, and you feel great stuff.
If you're going up, if you're going down,
I don't think where you're going, you feel it. And then maybe eventually, I don't know, but I think it's always good. That's what I feel.
Amen. It sounds like I'm gonna live your life.
We have to, consciously make the effort of thinking about it, because what we think about now will create our future, right? So if we think, like, let's say old age, that I don't remember many shows that they showed any old age here in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
No.
There wasn't any that I remember anyway. But we're both like proceeding that way. Yeah.
All of a sudden, pushing,
we're going
50.
that way.
I'm like,
And then when you think about old age, so what are you going to imagine? You're going to imagine yourself like with terrible crippling stuff, or your mind is going to go berserk or whatever?
God,
Are you going to imagine yourself like healthy and happy and dancing and so whatever we put our mind to, it will gear everything, it will lead us towards there. We have to really think about it. Not push it off.
Amen.
Not say, okay, this is not going to happen to me, because hopefully it's going to happen to us.
Amen.
Yeah, we want to live long. I want to live long.
I want to live
healthy.
Full. I don't know if I want to live long.
I want to live 300 years.
Whoa!
Please.
Oh my God! You'll be an altacucker, an altacucker.
I have so much to do.
I have so much to do, right? And then you have days where you just do nothing.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's also part of doing, though.
I just, there's so many things to do, and I'm like,
days when you wish you had a butler.
A Jeffrey.
Yeah. Okay, so we're coming to the end.
We are coming to the end.
This was really
good. I think we're going deeper and deeper and deeper.
And of course, we have fun.
We do.
And
we hope you guys have fun listening to us.
Yeah.
And tell us what you would want us to talk about next week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We are here for you, and we're here for ourselves also. But tell us what you want us to talk about next week, and we will take it into account. So that is the end of another podcast. Yay!